fucking champions!
And yes, I'm going to annoy you with that every time now until the Phillies do get the World Series ring and John Middleton gets his effing trophy back. But welcome in, everybody. Joe Quills here with you on this Thursday night. And it is a sticky night here in the 215 as we're even getting affected right now with Hurricane Helene, even though it's not rain related. I mean, we may get an outer band or an extreme outer band. Ooh, excuse me. But you get an occasional shower here or there. But it's just that the way that the storm formed and everything, and I think it's also tightening up as it gets to a Cat 4, which it is right now. But either way, it is really humid here tonight. So if you see me sweating, I'm not sweating any bets. I'm just sweating because it is hot. I mean, not hot as in 95-degree hot, but really humid tonight. But we have a lot going on here tonight. The Oakland A's said goodbye to the city of Oakland and their fans today. I don't have the banner up. I'm an idiot. Um, you know, Major League Baseball is going to be finishing up on Monday, most likely. And I say most likely, and I'll get to that in a second. More NFL brain injury news from a former NFL player. UNLV news, Mountain West news. UNLV is involved in both of those stories. And whatever we get into here, feel free to chime in and let's have some fun tonight. Um, so last night, and I know I keep saying we're going to have Wednesday nights. We're going to have Wednesday nights, but went to the Phillies game last night with my buddy Mike, and we went. It was a last minute thing. Well, last minute considering we usually get tickets to fan appreciation night, usually at the beginning of the year when the tickets first go available. But what happened was with the way that the schedule was this year, it wasn't falling on a Sunday. So as a result, it's like, do we really want to go this year? So about 2 weeks before the game, I actually found out that I had offered last night. So I was like, all right, texted Mike, Phillies game, question mark, a fan appreciation night, because, the day games are cool, but the prizes were all around us, but we didn't get anything this year. But we did get the ultimate prize of seeing the Phillies clinch a first round bye, and hopefully we get to hear somebody uttering those famous words from Mr. Chase, the man.
World champions! World fucking champions!
And I have to get the John Middleton quote and see if it's there isn't there's enough clean sound, because if you have too much background noise, you won't hear him saying, "I want my fucking trophy back." But um, but truthfully, um, I just think that if you're going to um, if you're going to play that, if I want to play that and I want to use it as a drop like I'm doing with the Chase Utley one, I want to have it as clear as possible because, you know, I don't want to hear "I want my," and then the entire locker room goes "yeah" before he gets the whole phrase out. So I'll have to see if that works, because I do want to have some sound drops that are different from others. Because um, and Mike knows this from hanging out with me for the last 25 years. Thoughts and prayers for Mike because I probably corrupted his mind. Um, the one thing is, and I say this to him, is I don't listen to sports talk radio in Philadelphia. And first of all, it's let's get back to the Eagles. And you barely hear other sports. And then you have some goofy side thing. It's like even we were listening to ESPN radio on the way down to the ballpark, and even they were going, "Oh, tell us what your walk-up song would be." And for me, it would be CeeLo Green's "F U." Woo-hoo-hoo. Not "Forget You," but the censored one. But nah, seriously. Um, but I just want to be straightforward, talk sports, talk other things, and have some fun with you guys. Because God forbid, you know, somebody actually talks about sports and keeps it on sports. Now, granted, I already was talking about the hurricane, which we'll get into with baseball in a couple of minutes. And we'll also have all different things going on. So, um, you know, fun. It'll be fun to see everything, and try to do something different. And, with the Bleacher Brothers Sports Network app coming up soon, I want to show you guys that, hey, we can do something different here and make it fun as well. So, because this is all one big grind, and hopefully, you get to enjoy every show I do. Now, one thing I have to warn you guys, I think there might be an issue with my Spreaker loading stuff up. Now, I don't think I think what may be the case here is I prepped the Monday show to upload. I never uploaded. I think that's what it was. But I looked today, and we had the first 3 episodes. We have a break there, and we don't have another episode after that. So it's probably on me. I got to do a better job out there. The whole thing that every coach now says because of Andy Reid. You know, got to go through the injuries. Got a paper cut, time's yours. Back in the day when he was with the Eagles, you got that and everything else. But I just really think that you do have, um, you know, I think the error is on me, but I'm just trying to get um, my show up and running on Apple full time. So, but I encourage you to subscribe to Apple Podcasts, especially if you're an after the fact listener or viewer. That way, let's say perfect. I mean, here's a perfect example. All the people in Florida and Georgia are bracing for the hurricane. Okay, well, it's a bad analogy, but you get the idea. And we kind of did something like this today at work, but I just feel like, um, sometimes you need to get your mind off of things. You don't want to hear about your home being flooded out or, anything like that. And, instead, you want something to take away your from your issues. And, if I can lend a helping hand to whomever, then I am more than happy to do that. It's just that, you know, then you got to worry about getting your phones charged up and stuff like that. But, you know, but also in this time, because Florida's about to get hit with another hurricane. I think it's right in the same area that got hit a couple of times in the last couple of years. I apologize for yawning, but you just have to wonder, is that area of Florida like bad luck? But I think that's also a lot of that area is not really that inhabited, so it actually is a blessing in disguise. So, um, but yeah, I don't know if they actually have I don't think there's many people in that Bend area of Florida where the northern shore becomes a western shore. You know what I mean? So, but you know, hopefully, uh, especially if you're in that area, subscribe and you know, because I'm trying to give you guys as many different options as possible to watch or listen to the show. And SJ is here tonight. Welcome in. She was pumping iron earlier tonight. I saw that, and she had to stick her thumb. Okay, take a clip of that. Okay, you can make fun of me. Um, what I was trying to say before my mouth got too far ahead of my brain, SJ was working out because she wants to look good for me. Okay, I told a lie there. She's not doing it for me. She's doing it for herself. But no, seriously. But I saw that she was at the gym, and of course she has to do the obligatory. And she wonders why I send her those pictures of me doing this right back because if she stops doing that, then I will stop doing that. But little little fun thing that we have there. So, but right now I'm kind of keeping an eye on the Temple Owl game against Army, and those that are actually wanting to watch Army and Temple, there is a thing called 1-800 Gambler if you bet on the game, or if you're watching, there's this is the age where you have a million different things to watch now. I mean, remember when? Well, SJ won't remember it because she's 22 years old. Uh, seriously, you know, because when I grew up, when I was growing up, we just had NBC, ABC, and CBS, and an independent channel or two in Philadelphia, for example. Now you got all these channels on antenna on your antenna. Then you can stream all this stuff. You can use a cable box. You can do some things that you may not want to do. SJ may know about those streams. Not saying that she does it, but I think if you really get in a bind, we all know what those sites are. Which you know, and like I always say, it's only illegal if you get caught. But no, I'm not talking about some things that are adult related. So we're not going down there tonight. We're trying to keep it clean tonight. So, but we're just having fun here on this Thursday night, and let's begin with the Oakland A's. They close out their stay in Oakland with a win today over the Texas Rangers. Not Walker Texas Ranger, just the Texas Rangers, and you know, and we did get some fan misbehavior. I think we saw a couple of fans running on the field, a couple of fans throwing smoke bombs or whatever you call those things. They threw a couple of those on the field, and it was kind of like what I expected. But they got the game in, and the fans were well behaved for the most part. When the game was over, Marcotte addressed the media, addressed the crowd, and they took a picture at the pitcher's mound, and they were gathering up the dirt so that the players can take a sample home with them to say, "Hey, I played in Oakland," blah blah blah. But um, now I do feel bad for the fans of Oakland. Now I shouldn't because if you look at baseball history, that franchise started right here in Philadelphia. I should be saying, haha, but they're not coming back to Philly because the way sports are now, where you can only really have one team now in a market. I mean, the reason why New York has two in each sport, except for basketball. Basketball, that's, you know, why the Nets went back into Brooklyn. But then again, they were still in the New York market anyway. So, but for the most part, you only have one team per city. LA, they had two in each sport. Uh, Baseball, and and I know my argument isn't holding water here because I'm sure if SJ was paying attention, she would actually be giving me grief on this. But um, you know, but the A's weren't coming back to Philadelphia. I mean, when when first word of this happening a couple of years ago was really taking traction, we were basically saying, "Hey, come back to Philly." The only thing is, where are they going to play? But they're moving to Sacramento for at least 3 years now, and it's going to be weird going to see baseball at a minor league ballpark for 3 years, and their schedule is weird because they're at the mercy of their AAA team. Well, it's not even their AAA team; it's I think it's the Giants that play in Sacramento. But the way that they do the scheduling in minor league baseball, you play essentially a 6 game series every week with the team, and it's to cut costs on travel and stuff like that. But you're still paying for the hotel rooms and stuff like that. Um, but you do have a 6 game series in the minor league. So you know, let's say Lehigh Valley is playing wherever the Yankees play AAA ball, um, Scranton. Uh, so let's say Lehigh Valley is going to Scranton. They will play Tuesday, Wednesday, Thursday, Friday, Saturday, Sunday, and Monday's a travel day, and they go wherever they're going next. And for the most part, it's 1 week home, 1 week road. And if you look at the A's schedule next year, that's pretty much the case with them: 1 week home, 1 week road, because it's to accommodate so they can be accommodated with the fact that they're in a AAA stadium. When the playoff, let's say Sacramento's baseball team does make it to the PCL playoffs. I don't know how they're going to work that out, but we'll find out. Because I think that the AAA team will have precedence because it's their stadium and they own the team. They own the stadium, so to speak. Whereas the A's are a tenant. Maybe they have to play an inconvenient 1 o'clock game or something. I don't know, but you get the idea. So, but it's an emotional goodbye for Oakland, for Oakland A's fans as their team is going away. And I'll tell you what. And let me see if I can find this video here. And let me see if I can find it. And hopefully, I don't even get hopefully I don't get DMCA'd or whatever for this. But let me find it here. This was on. Um, I I found this on. I actually saw this somewhere else, and I actually shared it to my Facebook. So if you're a Facebook friend of yours truly, first of all, why? But seriously, they did. Let me see if I can find this here. Okay. Okay. So I actually found it on Twitter, aka X. But um, I'm gonna play this here, even though it's a 4 minute video. Um, Larry Beal, who used to be at ESPN, he went off on John Fisher, the uh, how we doing? Okay. Just sweat my ass off here because it's so humid. But other than that, I'm good. How are you doing? That's the question. But I'm gonna play this video, and you will see Larry Beal, who used to be on ESPN Sports Center on ESPN years ago. Little did I know he's now in Oakland because once you leave the mothership, for the most part, unless you are family with them, they disappear on you. But in this case, um, Larry Beal ended up in Oakland, and here is what he had to say about the Oakland owner here. So let me share my screen here. Then I gotta do this, and I gotta do that. And if you cannot hear this, let me know. I'll try to fix it for you. And if the sound doesn't work after I try to fix it, then F it. But here we go.
The fans.
Is that the letter right there?
This is the letter. This
Yep.
is a great work of fiction, by the way.
Oh.
Yeah, that's what it is. So many A's fans would say this explanation is both weak and long overdue, but we're finally hearing from Fisher about exactly how we got to this point in time. Fisher says he knows the A's are part of the fabric of Oakland and then goes on to explain his version of reality. Fisher says when he and his business partner, Lou Wolf, bought the team back in 2005, quote, "Our dream was to win world championships and build a new ballpark in Oakland. Over the next 18 years, we did our very best to make that happen. We proposed and pursued 5 different locations in the Bay Area, and despite mutual and ongoing efforts to get a deal done for the Howard Terminal project, we came up short." Now, he goes on to say, "I know there is great disappointment, even bitterness. Though I wish I could speak to each one of you individually, I can tell you this from the heart. We tried. Staying in Oakland was our goal, it was our mission, and we failed to achieve it. And for that, I am genuinely sorry." Now, over the weekend, the A's hosted the Yankees for the final time at the Coliseum. And it was emotional. They got swept in 3 games, the A's did, but the series brought out some of the biggest crowds of the season to the Coliseum. The final series ever in Oakland starts tomorrow. The A's hosting the Texas Rangers. The very last game at the Coliseum is set for Thursday afternoon, starting at 12:45. That game is sold out, by the way. Cheapest resale tickets are going for around $65. In typical A's fashion, they raised the price for the last game. All right, so you heard Fisher's statement. Let me tell you what reality is, okay? John, you tried 5 different, extremely flawed stadium proposals. You never got even close to a shovel in the ground. Yes, Oakland politics is often a mess. I will give you that. But John, you surround yourself with incompetent yes men, and because you were born into a billionaire family, apparently never learned you have to spend money to make money. See Joe Lacob and the Golden State Warriors, your buddy, who still wants to buy the team. John, you're a serial penny pincher. You've destroyed your family's great name and legacy because of your cheapness. As for the statement about loyal A's fans, quote, "I wish I could speak to each and every one of you individually," end quote. Seriously? John, we've been trying to interview you for years, but you always choose to remain invisible unless you're begging politicians for public funding. And then you're out in front in Las Vegas. Okay. So let me just deal with this.
Wow.
For all A's fans, I can't do this enough. But here's the thing. There's one glimmer of hope. They're going to supposedly play 3 years in Sacramento.
Right.
If other owners and the Players Association had any spine at all, they would say, no, we're not doing that. Mm-hmm. We have yet to see a real financing plan for the A's stadium in Las Vegas.
Right.
We're still waiting. Vegas is still waiting. They don't have one. Yes, 18 years they've tried, and they've screwed it up every time. I don't know that that's going to change. I would love to see another massive failure by this ownership group, and then maybe Major League Baseball would force a sale to somebody locally. And there's a bunch of groups. Don't listen to anybody that says there's no fan base or there's no money in Oakland. That's total nonsense. I can go call 3 billionaires right now that would buy the team, okay? So, yeah, that's who I hang with.
I wish I
anyway.
had a microphone for you so you could drop it right here.
I was going to say, you can take the rest of the show.
Yeah.
We only have about 53 minutes.
I can
Yes.
continue? All right.
Yes, you can.
No, anyway, I mean, I guess like most A's fans, I'm balancing between sadness and anger.
And anger, yeah.
And right now, I think anger's winning.
And so
Never seen you like this.
that statement does nothing for anybody, any A's fan
Right.
out there.
No, I mean, you sort of have to release a statement. I mean, what would be nice is a news conference where you take questions, but that we haven't seen. We've never seen
why
that.
start now?
Why start now? Exactly. It's only been 18 years. Anyway.
Speaking on behalf of
Thank you.
A's fans everywhere, the frustration.
All
Thank
right,
you.
I'm going to go calm down.
Yeah. Do some yoga.
Thank you.
Deep breaths.
I'm a dope. Now, if I had my bump bumpty bump, I would play it, but since I don't, we're gonna play this instead. Maybe for Monday's show, I'll remember to change some of the sound drops that they have on here because they're EV Mux. They're EV Mux ones and not ones that I've used in the past. So, but anyways, good on Larry Beal to rip the owner one, and I don't know where I saw it. It might have been on ESPN earlier today. The mayor of Oakland, Sheng Thao, at least that's how I think it's pronounced. And like I always say, if I'm mispronouncing names, it's not done on purpose. But she showed up in an Oakland Ballers shirt. The Oakland Ballers is the new independent team in the Pioneer League that runs there. Voltaire, welcome in. Voltaire is fairly new to our group. Uh, um, and you know, football's doing well where you are, Voltaire. Um, but I just think that Larry Beal hit every point on the head there, and Larry Beal was one of the favorites on ESPN. He didn't always have the 11 o'clock Sports Center. He would occasionally be with Dan Patrick uh, or with Keith Olbermann back in the day. But good for him for calling out the owner because that was, you know, and you just don't have any, you don't have any wherewithal with, you know, having to spend money to make money. And I will tell you, even in my case, sometimes you spend money and the money doesn't grow back. You know, whether it's gambling or investing. Well, sometimes gambling is investing, but sometimes you make bad decisions, sometimes you make good decisions. And I just get and I've said this, I've been on record for like the last year or two. I still think the A's are never making it to Vegas. Why? I just don't know. I just have that gut feeling. And SJ may know this a little bit. Um, she may not even be in the room right now, but she was here originally. Um, I when I have my gut feeling, you know, a lot of times it does come true. And the thing is, I do not have insiders. So, I'm not going to tell you I've heard because I don't hear things from people. I mean, my ears work fine, but you know what I mean. I just think that there's something that's just telling me they're not going to Vegas. Um, they may stay in Sacramento because they were trying to build a stadium with the last expansion, but if everything fell through, um, it could be that they go to Utah, or maybe what Larry Beal is hoping, everything fails, MLB and the Players Association grow a spine, as he put it, and somebody buys the team. Now, whether they buy the team and keep it in Oakland or whatever, I think that if you get the right owner, they can keep it in Oakland. Maybe they will have the wherewithal saying, hey, City of Oakland, new ownership here. We'll play in the Coliseum for 3, 4 years. Since we're a new ownership, let's look at that one proposal that you made to John Fisher and go from there. Because who knows? Maybe that stadium does get built in Oakland, and maybe it doesn't. Who knows? But whatever it is, they do have a fan base that is loyal to that team. Now, you can laugh at that statement because when you look at the attendance every night. Um, you know, and it's the ownership that did it, Voltaire. The ownership just didn't, he just didn't realize what he was doing. Um, but when you look at like when you look at the fan when you look at the attendance every night and the box score on Bleacher Brothers, on ESPN, whatever, um, and Voltaire says, "I know, uh, do not care about Oakland." Yeah, but I think a lot of times you do have. I mean, and societies change over years too, because I guarantee you, Oakland wasn't as bad back in '68 when they first moved there as they are now. Um, uh, yes, terrible social economic business, yeah, um, and the crime, yeah. I mean, the question is, because I could tell you a fact for Philadelphia, parts of, and I don't know if I don't know if Oakland's the same way. Um, and Voltaire also says, I mean, they had Canseco, Henderson, McGuire, Giambi. Goodness, the history behind the franchise. As a baseball lover, it's depressing. I agree. And I just think when you look at everything, you know, now I don't know anything about the Oakland neighborhoods or anything like that, but I can tell you my experience with Philadelphia. Even though crime is basically everywhere in the city, I'm in a better area of the city, so to speak, if you want to call it that. But you are going to have uh, robberies and shootings and stuff. But in some portions of the city, it's a lot more rampant than others. Now, is that area of Oakland a better neighborhood than others? I don't know, but I can tell you right now. Um, Voltaire also says, "I totally got you. Me too. I grew up in South Central Los Angeles. Now I moved to the east side of the city." Okay, yeah, and I just know Philadelphia. Um, and you kind of get an idea of things in other cities, and I just don't, I just think that I don't know if that area around the Coliseum is good neighborhood, bad neighborhood, or a meh neighborhood, so to speak. But I just think that you do have a, um, you just have fans that were loyal, but they were smart enough to say, "Hey, John Fisher, we're not showing up," and good on them. But it just sucks that they don't have a baseball team after Sunday. So I just think that if you're going to, you know, if you're going to blame anybody, you have to blame the owner, plain and simple. I mean that's a no-brainer. But um, but and we hear about the 5 different sites, and good on Larry Beal to mention that how they were all flawed plans, and you know the Oakland mayor or mayors, because I'm sure it was more than Sheng Thao, if I'm pronouncing that right, and if I'm not, so be it. Um, I guarantee you they were smart enough to say, no, we're not doing this, and good for them, because especially because um, you do have all these different things going on in your cities and states and all that are more important than building a baseball stadium. Because yeah, it's nice that it's going to bring in money, but spending the money is not going to, spending my tax dollars, even though it's not my tax dollars, it's Oakland and the county, Alameda County, and it's the state money. you know, and if people are opposed to that, then good on them, because I just like to see, um, and it's they had 57 years in Oakland. They had 50 some here in Philly. They had about 10 to 15 in Kansas City. It's just a I feel bad for the fans because they're the ultimate losers here. So, um, but it's just a sad thing how this all turned out, and I still get the funny feeling that they will not make it to Vegas. Where they end up, I don't know. The way Larry Beal is talking, if baseball gets involved and say, "Hey, sell the team or else," maybe they end up back in Oakland. Maybe they get that new stadium. I don't know, but I can tell you uh, from local news here, the Philadelphia 76ers are trying to get out of the Wells Fargo Center. And I know some people will say, "Why are they doing that?" Well, that's because they don't own the building. The Flyers do in Comcast. So since they're the tenant, they're losing money that they would normally have if they have their own arena. And they want to build an arena downtown, right around 10th and Market, which you know, and it's right on the edge of Chinatown. And hopefully this, uh, when I say this word, it isn't slanderous, or it um, isn't um, a slur in any way. But even um, people, residents, and um, businesses in the neighborhood, which is around 12th, 13th Street on the south side of Market, they don't want the stadium. They don't want the new arena either. So you do have that. Now, the only difference between um, Fisher and the Sixers ownership group is that they're willing to pay every single dime, according to the mayor, Sherelle Parker. Now, whether they end up getting state money, I don't know, but the city, no problem, welcome back. But with the city itself, um, and yeah, Sixers are another great sports franchise. The Sixers want their own arena because guess what? You have your own arena. The money that you make, the money that you're losing to Comcast and to the Flyers will be their own. Um, uh, although I need, although I need to admit that when visit Philly, I was rocking purple and gold. Yeah, yeah, okay, yeah. Um, I think for the most part, as long as it's not LA versus Philly in the NBA Finals, you're probably okay. But one thing I would tell people, just to play it safe: wear neutral colors at the game, just to play it safe. Um, I mean, I remember the one time I went to Chicago for a Cubs game, and I think it was in 2009. It was it was either 2007 or 2009, because the two times I went to Wrigley, um, the there was a girl and her boyfriend sitting next to me, and she goes, "I'm so sorry that my boyfriend's yelling and screaming." I'm like, if that's yelling, you haven't been to Philly. And trust me, whoever comes to Philly next weekend for the divisional series is going to get what Phillies manager Rob Thompson calls 4 hours of hell. So, well, 3.5 now with the pace of play rules, but you get the idea. And Philly has good vibes. Yeah, I agree. Um, and you could, and if you see a Philly team win, watch the local news on whatever streaming service, or go to CBS Philadelphia or 6abc.com, and you're going to see, You're going to see an area downtown which is going to be packed. You're going to see an area near me called Cotman and Frankfurt. That's going to be packed. We have these pockets around the city where we get to this point of a season where we get to the playoffs, we win a series or we win a big football game the the conference championship. You will see those areas packed with fans celebrating. Um, but it's a good city. It's just sometimes you know it gets a bad rap, and sometimes it's deserved and sometimes it's not. But it's a fun little uh, it is a fun city. You know, I call it home. Now, the one thing I say, and uh, and it was raining too hard. Yeah, yeah, because the art museum is it's on the edge of Center City. It's all the way at the other end of the parkway. Trust me, I walked that a couple of times, and yeah, it's a long walk from City Hall. But one day I shall go back. Good. Yeah, I encourage that. Um, but a lot of the things that they do, but with everything that's going on with the stadium, I have to read up on it a little bit more because you know some of my friends would be like, "Well, why aren't you talking about the Sixers thing?" Well, it just seems like every time I that there's a press conference or something, I'm working. Or like last night, I was at the Phillies game, so I just don't have the time to really dig in for that. So, but but I do feel bad for the Oakland fans, and uh, yeah. Um, Now, what I'm hoping for, you know, yeah, I agree. Nothing's ever sure with Dave Roberts as a manager. Uh, and the reason why he's more clueless is because of analytics, plain and simple. But I do feel bad for the A's, the fan base that is. Um, they deserve better, and hopefully, like Larry Beal says, maybe a billionaire owner does get called in to save the day. But it does look like they'll be in Sacramento for 3 years, and then they'll end up in Vegas. I still don't think they're ending up there. Yeah, but just so much, just so much stuff going on. But I do think that they. I mean, I don't think MLB expands to Oakland. I really don't. But we'll see. I mean, I've been wrong before. I just think if they expand, if they go one team out west, one team in the east, I personally think if the A's do make it to Vegas, it's going to be Portland because it'll make things a whole lot easier for traveling in Major League Baseball because of the fact that when you have Seattle all by their lonesome, I've been in Seattle and I've flown to Vegas. I've flown to Sacramento on a layover to get home on Southwest a couple of times. Um, those flights are long. I mean, and considering Seattle, the Mariners do that every trip, at least 3 hours. So it is interesting. I just think that something just tells me, I've been saying it time and time again, there is no way, they're going to be in, there's no way they're going to be in, whoops, I didn't mean to do that. Don't mind me, I'm screwing things up here. Um, so now I'm not sure baseball wanted this either, but let me see if I can fix this here. I can't. All right. So, so thanks. Yeah. Voltaire says like your setup is very professional. I was I was I became aware of this a couple of months ago with my group Bleacher Brothers. We've been using this, and it's very easy for me now. It's just that I screwed up on YouTube, and they don't have an idea of what I'm talking about. I got to fix that after the show. But like some of the things I could do is like before the show, I can post this banner up, even though I didn't do it today because I messed up. Um, little things like that. Things that are all prepared. Even though I keep turning that off when I'm supposed to leave it on. But it's little things I can do to make it look like I'm an actual professional when I'm actually not. But you get the idea. But um, now I look at the baseball stuff, and I became aware of this yesterday morning when I finally rolled out of bed. And when I was looking at it, um, I was thinking, um, yeah, I mean, I knew that the hurricane was coming. I knew that it was one of those hurricanes that are just going to just blow up like it is right now. It's going to be hitting uh, the Florida Gulf, the Florida coastline later tonight or early tomorrow morning, I believe. But the line that it's taking, and also the heavy rains ahead of the storm, caused the Braves and Mets to postpone last night's game and tonight's game. And I think the fact that this storm formed quickly enough, it did not give Major League Baseball time to think of other plans for this. And there was things that they were talking about on the CBS Sports article that I saw yesterday morning. They were thinking about, oh, maybe we move it to Texas and play a doubleheader there. Didn't happen. They're going to play on Monday. Now, Monday, if it's needed, but there's a damn good chance that it is needed. And, you know, both teams get 2 days off, which, isn't ideal, but they're going to probably have to play a doubleheader on Monday, which is beyond not ideal because guess what? You got four teams vying for three teams vying for two playoff spots because San Diego and LA are still fighting for the division, but whoever doesn't win it gets the top wild card. Um, but you got a lot of rain that's got to go through that area, and they were talking with that storm a couple of days ago when I was, um, uh, it was interesting to see that they were saying that you could see one of the fastest moving hurricanes in history. Uh, uh, Now, here's my theory on the divisional series. I just think the best thing for the Dodgers, in my opinion, is not having to play a team in their own from their own division in the NLDS because with them and with the Braves got the Phillies 2 years in a row, and last year they got Arizona. 2 years ago they got San Diego. Now these teams all know each other, but you know your division rivals that much more because you play them more. Now, granted, it's only 13 times as opposed to 19 back in 2022, but still, you've got teams here that really know each other as opposed to teams that have an idea. Um, but when you have teams that are playing all the time, you have an idea what their tendencies are. Now, in regards to the Dodgers, I wouldn't be surprised if they win tonight, but Um, and by the way, Army is up 28-0 on Temple. Not that anybody cares, but I see that on my screen here. Um, but you got all kinds of crazy things that are going on here, but the thing is, hey, SJ's back, yay! Um, but the Dodgers, even though Colorado will tend to be a pain in the ass from time to time, um, Colorado could cause some trouble because I mean, obviously, if if um, if the Dodgers win tonight, then the Padres are going to pack it in for 3 games probably, and they're probably going to Olay the the Diamondbacks into the playoffs unless they still want to play to win and want to play the way you should play, which is okay. Well, we're going to get ready for the playoffs, but we're going to see if we can keep you out of the playoffs, which is that's the ultimate thing that I like to see is teams playing to win despite trying to rest players. Um, but your pitching is so hurt. I honestly think they should consider having Shohei pitch. Um, I think if he pitches, I mentioned this last night to my buddy Mike. Um, I really think if he does pitch, I think it would be like uh, an emergency pitcher, like late in the game. But other than that, I don't think that they will. I don't. They're not. They're definitely not going to have him pitch as a starter. Um, and Roberts trying Bobby Miller over again, killer. Yeah, and what the Phillies bullpen has been garbage from time to time, but the Phillies bullpen is deep, and um, yeah, and this time, and once you get to the playoffs, there is no, you know, you're going to see starters pitching in relief and everything. And I will tell you for a fact, my Phillies, um, and Julio Urias being an idiot. Yeah, I agree with that because I think that was the second time he ended up with a domestic violence charge on him. So he's a scumbag. And I got a story about another scumbag coming up here that I did not mention in the scroll here. Um, but I just think the Dodgers could be for the taking again in the NLDS, and if that happens, is Dave Roberts' job in jeopardy? Um, uh, yeah, I mean, and there was a video I shared on Twitter, aka X, the other night, and I had to watch it like 4 or 5 times because the last thing I want to do, especially with the fact that I am actually streaming 3 nights a week. Next week will be 4 nights a week, and actually I'll be wondering when am I going to have a life. Um, but um, I just feel like um, I got to be even more careful with my words, not just because my manager knows I stream and I podcast and I do everything I do. Not only that, but it's why one of the reasons why I say when I talk about work, I say at redacted company because that way you can't trace that unless you really know me. But um, but I really think um, I just think with a lot of what's going on here, I think the Dodgers, you know, considering that they won all these games this year, um, people argue they should have won maybe 20 more. But it's all about October, and the NL will be interesting because the Phillies will want revenge on Arizona if they come to town. Or, you know, Phillies and Mets never faced in the playoffs before. Or do the Braves get revenge on the Phillies? Or do the Dodgers get revenge on the Padres or the Diamondbacks? Um, well, the good news is that's a problem for next year because Voltaire says for you and the Phillies, you just have to figure out the number 5 pitching rotation spot. And it may be that next year we will have Andrew Painter on the mound who had Tommy John surgery. So, um, and Thompson does believe it's the best team he's had while he was there. And hopefully, if SJ agrees to that bet that I proposed to her. Now, the one thing I will tell SJ before she says, "Don't you talk about this bet that I'm not going to do." Let's just say right now there is a 35 and 36 chance that the scenario does not play out because there's 6 teams in the American League playoffs, 6 teams in the National League. 6 times 6 is 36. So, you know, but if it, but there's there's so many great teams that are deemed great teams and they just don't win. So, uh, and I see the Yankees won the division, so that's probably why SJ disappeared for a while. So, but the Dodgers, but I just think that a lot of what they do, you know, and I think that teams have caught up to the Yankees in terms of how to beat them, and I think sometimes they may hold. And what's a champa? Is that like a chalupa? I know. I know what you're trying to say. I'm just having fun with you. But going back to this Braves story, Braves and Mets, um, they could have played at least one of the games early in the day on Tuesday or early yesterday, Wednesday afternoon. Didn't happen. Um, Now they got to play 2 on Monday if it's needed, which I think it definitely will be. Um, Now it's going to be an extra day to the season, and you got the ultimate drama of a doubleheader to decide who gets to play. Um, Now it's going to be um, they're going to the Mets are scheduled to return on Monday. First game will be at 1 o'clock. Second game will be about 40 minutes after, and it could determine who heads to the playoffs. Now the Mets, they could have a bear of a road trip because now they got to go to Milwaukee. I'm sure they're there now because hey, get out of here before you can't get out because of the hurricane. They played 3 games in Milwaukee against the Brewers. Then they got to come back to the Braves for a doubleheader, and the Braves have to play Kansas City. And the question that Brian Schnicker, the Braves manager, said, "I hope the Royals can get here." Looking ahead to an ominous forecast the next 2 days with the remnants moving through Georgia. Well, not only the remnants, just the outer bands, which were heavy as hell. Um, um, but with the Mets, they could go Atlanta. Well, they went Atlanta to Milwaukee, Milwaukee back to Atlanta now. Then they may go back to Milwaukee for a wild card game, or they may go out to the West Coast, probably to San Diego. So you're talking about all kinds of crazy stuff here. And, sometimes that adversity really unites a team, or you'll see them fade like the Mets that they are. But either way, um, they didn't decide to postpone the game until 5 o'clock, a little after 5, 2 hours before the first pitch. Um, but it'll be interesting to see. And I mentioned the grueling travel. Um, Now, they say here there is a chance a doubleheader will not be needed if the playoff race is settled by Sunday. I think that it's such a small probability. You might as well just say, hey, they're playing on Monday and they're going to be playing a doubleheader because. Or what happens if the Braves or the Mets win the first game of the doubleheader, and that second game is not needed because whoever wins that game owns the playoff spot? Because one thing you have to remember with the Braves and the Mets series this year, the season series with those two teams, they were 5-5 going into Tuesday's game. Now, not only are you playing to get a wild card, if it happens that the game ends up in a tie, or that the standings end up a tie at 161, if the Braves win and they're tied with the Mets, well, they would have to play. That's right. Well, if they're up a game on the Mets, because if they were to end up tied at 162, they wouldn't have to play, but they probably would have to still play because guess what? Now you're playing for positioning, kind of like how the Phillies still have to play for positioning against the Dodgers, even though you may question a lot of things with that. So, um, but there's so many different things on there right now, and it's not ideal for the teams involved, but for the fan that gets to see Monday baseball, which is almost the equivalent of game 163, which we don't have anymore. I'll be tuning in while I'm working both games. So, and I'm sure it'll be on MLB Network, and I'm sure SJ will be laughing her ass off that these two teams that she doesn't like will be beating each other up, kind of like I'll be saying, ha ha ha, those two teams got to play and stuff like that. So, but anyways, uh, any day with baseball is a blessed day. I agree. Actually, any sport that I want to watch. But now, one guy who is evil is Juan DeFranco. And now I did hear a rumor before I get to this real story. I did hear a rumor that he has an iPhone, but he is refusing to go to the new iOS 18. I know that's bad. That is really bad. That's worse than some of the jokes that I mentioned on SJ's Discord. I don't have a Discord yet. I have to work on it. On top of the 86 million other things I have to do. But um, just a small update here on Juan DeFranco. He will stand trial on charges in the Dominican Republic following a judge's ruling and that he sexually abused a minor. Yeah, everybody will know because I think that once I get the Discord going, I can get more people to watch, whether it's Twitch or YouTube or X or anywhere else. Because even though I should worry about the basics right now, and that's probably what SJ would tell me, because I rely on her with a lot of things because she is my hero. She is my wind beneath my wings. Okay, enough with the Bette Midler shit. Uh, but yeah, I don't always post my links there, but I do. I do have. I do share everywhere, but I don't turn back time or anything like that. But you get the idea. And I told SJ I was not going to go on 18 tangents tonight. I think I've been on 33 already. But um, but Wander Franco is going to stand trial. The judge determined both the accusation and the evidence presented by the prosecution had sufficient merits to warrant a trial. Uh, yeah, and the X account is the same as here, uh, same as everything else. Joe Quills. Um, but just to let you know, I don't think the chat works with reaching back to the program I use. So just to let you know, but it did work for our leader AJ with his show last night. So, and I see the alert. I'll respond to it later. Um, but Franco is on the restricted list, which means he doesn't get paid. Um, uh, there's 3 charges against him for an alleged sexual relationship with a then 14-year-old. Administrative leave was part of the deal between the MLB and the Players Association, but um, the pay ended when he was charged with the crime. So, um, but hopefully we have a resolution to this. And now, mind you, this is just the Dominican Republic part of it. I think they might have to do the United States part, but I think with the United States part, they may not do it because they'll just say, okay, it's resolved there. He's in jail for 20 years. He's banned from baseball. And, he may not, I think he just may be deported anyway, but I don't know how that would work. I'm far from a lawyer, but um, so MLB is under it. Is also has an investigation going into the under its domestic violence, sexual assault, and child abuse policy until the case is resolved. Um, Now he was put on the restricted list because he's not allowed to leave the Dominican Republic, and as a result, he's enabled to report. So that makes him onto the uh, makes him into the restricted list there. So, but uh, now now the father of the girl who in January filed a complaint against Franco reached an agreement with Franco's legal representatives and withdrew his complaint. So what that means, I don't know, because um, agreement the agreement was not disclosed, the details of it. So I don't know what's going. Yeah, but I think that, like I always say, where there's smoke, there's fire, and I think Wander Franco is a sick person who will never see a baseball diamond in the United States again, and hopefully that's the case. So, you know, he could have been. Yeah, I mean, we had a saying when we were kids. Well, when I was a teenager with a couple of my neighborhood friends, but we never acted on it because we had this thing called common sense. And I'm sure if SJ was listening right now, she would be running away really fast. We would joke around and say, if there's grass on the field, play ball. I think after a while, you say that and you realize you're joking around amongst your friends and keep it within your friends. You know, but if you say something that really, if you really think about it, if you get a person that takes it too seriously, then the next thing you know, you're considered a child molester or something. But you know what I mean. But a lot of this, uh, you know, and we don't know the whole story. We may never know the whole story because we may not know what is mentioned in court. We don't know how the Dominican court system works in terms of what news is going to leak out or anything like that. So now, um, Dallas kicked the field goal. They're up 17-12 here. So they're teetering right around that 4.5, 5 point line, whatever that line was when it closed. Um, got some UNLV news here. Um, I have it combined with. Or actually, you know what? Let me go to the football story first because I'm going to try to keep it on with the. Um, try to keep it going with the scroll tonight. That way, when I look to see if there's an issue with the audio portion when I load it up tonight or tomorrow morning, um, I'll try to keep it as simple as possible for me to do the episode notes when I upload. But um, Tommy Kramer, who was a quarterback with the Miami with the Minnesota Vikings, he's been diagnosed with dementia. Um, he's 69 years old. He played 13 of his 14 seasons in the NFL with the Vikings. He posted on his Twitter account yesterday. He was formally diagnosed with the cognitive decline a little more than a year ago at the Cleveland Clinic as part of a health and wellness program for former NFL players. So, and also, like I said when we were talking Brett Favre on Monday, the one thing I said was, a lot of what they do. I mean, a lot of what football was back in the day. It was cool that you got those big hits, but science evolves over time. And if you think about it, we didn't know what head injuries would do to your brain. And, over time, we realized that there is such a thing as CTE. There's all these different things that, you know, dementia, Parkinson's, other things that, other maladies of the brain. It's just, and, I've taken a few hits to the head in my day, but, I didn't play football. It was just that, maybe I mean, like I bounced my head off concrete the one time because I crashed my bike, or but I, it just wasn't, it wasn't like a constant car crash every single play of a football game like Brett Favre and uh, uh, Tommy Kramer. But they're actually trying to curtail some of these hits. But even like the Eagles game on Sunday, Devontae Smith took that cheap hit from whatever saint that was, that he only got a $4,600 fine. And I think that some people on Twitter, when I was looking briefly today, they were saying only 4,600. And if it wasn't X, it was on Threads. But and I didn't respond because the last thing I need is somebody to get into an argument of me over me suggesting something. But I do believe that it's all part of the collective bargaining agreement. That's why you see a fine for $4,612.32, for example, because it's all written into the contract for whatever reason. So, but um, Kramer was inspired to share his condition after the revelation Brett Favre made on Tuesday at the congressional hearing. Um, Kramer said his doctors told him at his one-year checkup that his dementia did not advance, and that he has stopped consuming alcohol to better cope with the dementia issues that he has. And Kramer also wrote, "Please, no sympathy. I've lived a great life and wouldn't change a thing. Nobody once wanted to win more than me, and I never gave up, and that's exactly how I'm going to battle this." So, um, um, and he played his final season with New Orleans in 1990. I remember him when I was growing up. Uh, you know, yeah, and the thing is, he says there, "Don't feel sorry," but he says no sympathy, please, no sympathy. But if you're if you're a civilized human being, you still feel bad for the person, even though he was doing what he wanted to do. It's just It's just now it's science. Everything is so much different than what it was when he played back in the 80s. So, and SJ says because she is watching Dallas and the Giants for me. Thank you for doing that for me. Dude, what's with the field goals? Okay. I'll answer that question for you in typical me fashion. Um, well, you see, they have these things at the ends of the field. They're called goalposts. And when you can't get the ball into the end zone, it's like, well, we didn't get the 6, but maybe we can get 3 points out of this. And when you got somebody who can kick 75-yard field goals if you really wanted to, you take advantage of it, especially on a night in New York in late September where the winds aren't blowing down the boardwalk. Oh, wait, that's Bruce Springsteen. Uh, Not seriously, but when you have ideal conditions to kick a 60, 65-yard field goal, you can use that as a weapon. Now, the Giants, it seems like Dallas has fixed some things from last week, and it's this thing called pride because, you have a you have a team there that got lit up like a Christmas tree 2 weeks by New Orleans, a New Orleans team that lost to the Eagles, who did not have their number one wide receiver for the entire game. They didn't have their number two wide receiver for most of the second half from that cheap hit, but they still won. The Eagles, that is. And by the way, we're going to have the Philly fade coming up after these UNLV stories here. So, and and uh, and SJ thinks that I'm a closet UNLV fan. It has nothing to do with the fact that I'd like to go to Vegas a lot, even though I haven't been there since the Super Bowl. It's just, and a lot of times when I bet UNLV football or basketball, it's because it's the last basketball or football game on the schedule for the night. It's like all in, like in poker. But uh, and the one thing is, um, we all know that NIL, name, image, and likeness, is both a good thing and a bad thing in my opinion because the kids are getting paid, but you have a situation like what unfolded in Las Vegas this week. UNLV quarterback Matthew Sluka left the undefeated Rebels on Tuesday night over claims of unfulfilled verbal NIL promises from a UNLV assistant coach. And it's a decision that illuminates the fragility of the current collegiate system and how talent is procured and retained. Now, here's the thing. Before I go any further, when you hang around the athletic department, and I hung around with the athletic department at Holy Family back when SJ was about 2 inches high. Actually, I don't even know if she was. Wait, you may not even have been born yet, but it was a small college up in Northeast Philadelphia, and the college was so small that at that time they weren't even a member of NCAA. They were the NAIA, which was like a small college division of college sports that was not affiliated with the NCAA. But um, but they didn't have the rules and regulations that the NCAA did. So, but even with NAIA, it's hard to make a dime even back then because you were devoted to the sport and you couldn't get any money or anything like that from schools or agents or anything like that. But some of the rules are probably different, but not much different from the NCAA. And also, I had when I was in sport management at Drexel, I did have one of the guys from the basketball team in one of our classes, and here's the thing: before NIL, I felt for the players because, they don't have anything in their pocket, you know, to get a meal, to take a girlfriend out, significant other out. Let's change that because, fe- uh, female athletics is on the rise here in the United States. But, but I'm torn over NIL and everything like that because of the fact, and hopefully this makes sense. Even though you're not getting money in your pocket legally, because we're not gonna lie, there's always the $100 handshakes. There's the McDonald's bag of money from a friend of the athletic department, a booster, whatever. But the thing is, a lot of them get a free education, free room and board, free books. And it sucks that, I have to work my ass off to pay for these books and they get all this for free, even though you can argue both sides here. So that's why I'm so torn over it because, okay, well, yeah, I understand you want money to live life a little bit, but, it's like, but you're still getting all the books and stuff for free that I have to pay for. But, it's a little bit of everything here. But now his agent, Marcus Cromartie, and, that's weird for me seeing that and saying that because, agents are usually hush hush. But um, UNLV didn't come through on a verbal offer of $100,000 from an assistant coach. Sluka's father, Bob, said that head coach Barry Odom later said in a phone conversation that the offer was not valid because it did not come from him. So this is one big he said, she said thing. Uh, but because it came from him, it did not come from him, but came from the offensive coordinator, Brandon Marion. Um, it's not valid, but, you know, he declined to comment. Um, so Sluka's representative made a financial demand upon the university and its NIL collective in order to continue playing. UNLV said in a statement that the athletics department interpreted these demands as a violation of the NCAA pay-per-play rules as well as Nevada state law. So, who knew UNLV followed the rules of the NCAA and the state of Nevada? Because we know from Jerry Carcanian days that they didn't. But UNLV does not engage in such activity, nor does it respond to implied threats. UNLV has honored all previously agreed upon scholarships from Matthew Sluka, and but the UNLV collective did pay Sluka one $3,000 fee for an engagement he made this summer. Sluka's agents first made contact with the collective in late August to discuss future opportunities, and they wanted to make sure he was in school. There are so many different things that are going on here. Um, and this comes at the worst time for UNLV because they're 3-0. In the coaches poll, they're 23rd in the country, the first time they've been ranked in any major poll in their history. And oh, by the way, they got to play. They play Fresno State this weekend. They play Syracuse on next Friday night. So, it's the most anticipated stretch in their football history. And the the quarterback says, "Well, I'm taking a red shirt and I'm transferring out of here." But but he can't play at two schools in the same season, so he has to take the red shirt. He has 1 year of eligibility remaining. He's going to use it at another school, and it's just. I mean, the thing is, I'm just so tired of seeing some kids going from one school to another to another to another. And it's like, okay, you've been in four schools in 4 years. We know that you're not going to class. We know the kids don't go to class anyway, but you know, but it's just really frustrating. Um, it's just frustrating, and it's like they said a couple times, it's the Wild West, and in a lot of cases, that's why these old school coaches are retiring because they just don't want to deal with this stuff. They just want to coach, and now they have to do all these other things that But in other news, uh, kudos to fellow Bleacher brother Robbie Listella for sharing this on Twitter and me seeing it last night. UNLV and Air Force is going to remain with the Mountain West Conference with some financial incentives. Both schools were incentivized to stay with significant financial packages made possible, in part by collective exit fees. The conference's 5 departing members, Boise State, Colorado State, Fresno State, San Diego State, and Utah State, will be responsible for paying to leave the Pac 12. Each school is expected to pay roughly $18 million to depart. And then on top of that, the Pac 12 has to pay a poaching fine of $52 million. UNLV chose to remain in the Mountain West despite overtures from the Pac 12. And Air Force was receiving heavy interest from the American Athletic Conference, which I was hoping that Air Force would go to the AAC because then you would have all 3 military academies in the same conference, which would be fun for me. Because the one thing is, and feel like that, um, I feel like that the schools should be that not only just Army Navy should be in Philadelphia. I'm a believer that all the matchups for the Commander in Chief trophy, all 3 schools, Army, Navy, and Air Force, I feel all 3 should be in Philadelphia, especially since I guess it's the previous mayor, Jim Kenney. He allowed the Army Navy game to go to other cities for 4 straight years. No, that would have never happened on my watch. I would have said, no, we want you here. We want you to play here every year because that's Americana to play here in the city of Philadelphia. But anyways, so UNLV and Air Force are staying in the Mountain West. Now, Mountain West stands at 7 football playing members, and they need to add 2 full members to meet the requirements of eight schools. And the reason why, even though they have 7 football schools, they need 2 more. Hawaii only plays football in the Mountain West. Now, maybe Mountain West tries to talk Hawaii to become a full-time member. Maybe. But part of the reason why that they're in the Big West for the other conference stuff is because everybody else in the Big West, aside from Miami, aside from Hawaii, that is, they're right on the California. They're all in California, so they don't have to go too far inland to go to those matchups that their teams have to play in. Now, the Pac 12 is also with only 7 members and probably have to turn its attention outside the Mountain West because Hawaii, New Mexico, Nevada, San Jose State, and Wyoming, they're all expected to sign binding agreements Thursday to remain with the conference. I didn't see anything in regards to that. I apologize. And yeah, the poaching penalty, Pac 12, as I mentioned the other night, they're suing about because now they're saying it's illegal. Well, if you agreed to it ahead of time, then that's on you. But now this was first reported by the Action Network. Robbie Listella, the tweet that he shared, they gave the Athletic the credit. So I'm just going to give both the credit for that, and we'll go from there. So before we go any further, and 2 things I want to mention. First of all, also eligible is my horse racing show. We will be live Saturday morning on the Bleacher Brothers group of platforms Saturday morning. I don't even know what I'm looking at on Saturday yet. I'm going to have to look that up later tonight. But every Saturday morning, I give you my picks and thoughts on some of the races and some of the news that's going on. And, sometimes if it's me and AJ, we have a 20-minute banter fest where we joke around and stuff like that. So that's Saturday mornings at 10 a.m. I'm leaning towards Santa Anita. So just to let you know in regards to that. Also, Rebet.com. I keep saying Rebet.com. The Rebet app. Um, you get 100% deposit match up to $100, and it is a sports book that is um, meant for people that like to be socially active on social media and stuff like that. So there is the there is the facet that they have where you can follow your friends' picks and wagers and stuff like that. But also, Rebet will um, also be the solicitator of a head-to-head wager. So let's say SJ and I have a wager on, let's say, the Phillies and the Yankees, or the Giants and the Eagles, or whatever. You know, this is the 21st century way of the gentleman's wager in the movie Trading Places. If you remember Trading Places, they had a gentleman's wager for $1. Well, basically the same thing, but Rebet will handle that for you as well. What I would recommend is, since I did not put the link up in the notifications, um, if you go to actually what I can do here, and SJ, do not take this link out of chat because only because I'm purposely spamming this. Um, if I can find it here. Uh, all right, I got to go here. So hold on. Gmail. Here it is. So I'm going to share this link here. Um, and I think it's good till the end of the month. So I think this is the last weekend for it. So now, if you click that link, um, it's 100% match up to $100. And if you're following that link on our show tonight, um, what I will tell you guys is, let me know on a DM or an email or whatever. Let me know that you signed up so that I can get credit for that. But it is available in most states. It is uh, it is a fun little site. It's a little bit different than the other sports books, but it's more social than it is anything else. I was showing my buddy Mike the other night about it, or actually last night about it. I was showing him, like, there's two different ways you can wager. You can wager with money, or you can wager with these Rebet coins that you earn uh, for putting it money into it, or so there's two different ways you can wager. Now, what that wager means, what the coins mean, what the equivalent is to $1, I don't know, because Tuesday night, after when the Phillies, or Wednesday night or Tuesday night when they had their hangover game, um, I put 250 Rebet coins on the Cubs and I won. Now, what that means, I don't know, but I'm still new learning to it. But if you go to Rebet, go to that link, you will get um you'll have 100% deposit up to $100. If it asks you for a code, the code is Bleacher Brothers, and it's a fun little app, and it's a little thing that we're doing here, and we support uh, different We just support different platforms, and Rebet is a partner with us here at Bleacher Brothers. So, and if you're listening after the fact or you're watching after the fact, um, that those ads are all over Bleacher Brothers as well. So, just to let you know about that as well. So, back to me. Going to give you some picks here for the weekend. And I admit I haven't been keeping track of my wins and losses. I'm sure SJ could keep track of the last few weeks as I post all my picks on her Discord. But anyways, let's go to the picks here and let me just take a look here. Last week I had Last week I had Syracuse. That was a loss. Utah State lost. Boise State won. I'm not sure about Boston College. Seattle covered. Eagles won. So I went like 3-3, possibly 3-4. I don't even know what I did. I gotta look at these. But I'll get it caught up eventually. But anyways, so we got some action here tonight, and just to let you guys know, Padres and Dodgers are no score in the third inning. So so let me go here, and I know I'm pulling up DraftKings here. It's like, dude, you just did an ad for Rebet. I know. It's just the way that I do my picks every week because it's easy just to copy and paste to capture what I need to capture and post it. So, anyways, let's begin with the college football side of things here. And I mentioned UNLV. They are taking on Fresno. And I need to share that portion of the screen here because I'm a dope. And I need to expand on this too. Okay. And by the way, Army's up 35-14 on Temple. Let me find it here because I didn't note the times that these games are. Okay. Fresno takes on UNLV. We see all the turmoil with UNLV right now. I think they're actually starting their third string quarterback because the backup also left the team. I'm taking Fresno State there, plus 110. And like I always say, why go for the minus 112 here when you can get 110? Because you're under a field goal here. Why give up 12% of your money and when you can get an extra 10% back on your wager if it is $100? And mind you, these are just based on $100 wagers. There's no shame in betting $5. What I would say is even though if you have a gambling problem, 1-800-GAMBLER, there is no shame with a small wager. DraftKings here, their minimum wager is 10 cents. If that's what you feel comfortable with, then go ahead and do it. But either way, Giants kicked the field goal at 17-15 here. So I'm taking Fresno State with the first game here. Second game here, it's an evening game in Laramie. Air Force takes on Wyoming. If I can find it, there it is. Air Force is a 4-point favorite. I think now that they have everything under control in terms of where they're going to be playing, and also I think they're the much better team here. I'll take Air Force -4 at -108. And then Oregon's due for a breakout game. They're the late game on Fox on Saturday night. This is going to get ugly, I think. UCLA, they're all in shambles because Chip Kelly left at such a weird time to go to Ohio State as the offensive coordinator. Oregon needs a statement win here. They get it. So Oregon State at -25.5 at -110. So my college football picks for this weekend: Fresno State money line plus 110, Air Force -4 at -108, and the Oregon Mighty Ducks. Hopefully they don't quack under pressure. They're 25.5 point favorites on Saturday night. So that's my college picks. Then we go to the NFL. And one thing I will tell you, as somebody who picks these games on my show, I do pick every Eagles game because that's my team. And win or lose, I am going to pick a side on that game. So we're going to skip that Eagles game because it's at the top of the list, probably. Yeah, it is. It's right there. Atlanta takes on New Orleans. I think New Orleans is a fraud. I was saying that before they played the Eagles. Eagles played a great defense on New Orleans. They held them to 13 points, or was it 12 points? But either way, Eagles won that game. Um, they take on Atlanta here. Atlanta, they had a tough loss with Kansas City here. They play at home again. It's 2.5 points. I think New Orleans. I think New Orleans are frauds. I'll take Atlanta minus 2.5 there. Second game I have Monday night. I don't even know if Skylar Thompson is playing on Monday night, but whether he is or he isn't. Now, granted, the Dolphins. Tennessee is just as bad with their quarterback situation. And this is a situation that I talk about all the time. And one thing I will tell you when it comes to knowing what some of these numbers mean, and I will tell you one thing. I'm not only making my picks, and like I tell you, there are weeks that are going to be my rent weeks. Well, this week is rent week coming up, so I'm probably not going to be playing, but I am going to give you guys some thoughts. If I had money, would I be playing? So in this case, both teams are horrible. They probably should have been flexed out to ESPN 8 the Ocho, but this is a perfect example of knowing what these numbers mean. Now, first of all, I understand some people will only play money lines and some people will only play point spreads. Okay, bet what you feel comfortable. But if I can help you guys out in understanding what these numbers mean, then I've done my job because, I like to teach things, help people out, all that stuff. So you can see here, Tennessee is a 1 point underdog here. So the chances, actually, if Miami were to win by 1 point, it's a push. So this is basically telling you ahead of time it's a pick 'em game. So why pay if you're going to play $100? And once again, these are just guides. And if you're at a machine and you're using a self-serve machine and you know how to use it, these are just guides. So, and it'll figure out your wager winnings automatically. Boom, easy. So, one question I have here for you is, why pay $108 to win 100 when you can get more bang for your buck with this wager, which is essentially the same thing at minus 102? So instead of paying $108 to win 100, you'll be paying $102 for 100, even though it may be that you're only comfortable with $5, and that's perfectly fine. But what I will tell you is I have no confidence in Miami right now, and I will gladly take Tennessee here despite how god awful Will Levis has been this year. Um, you know, I'll take Tennessee here at the money line minus 102. If you're a person that always plays spreads, hey, play what you want, but hopefully I've educated you with some thought here because you know Just want to help you guys out a little bit. So just a little thought to ponder there. So that is pick number 2. Actually, I'm going to add a pick here. I think Seattle's a fraud as well. Detroit had their um, embarrassing loss to Tampa Bay. Um, I think that the Lions are going to roll over Seattle. So I'm going to take the Lions on Monday night as well at -3.5. So that's my third pick. We go back to the Eagles. Eagles are a 1.5-point favorite. This line has been going in favor of Tampa Bay. And I'm going to tell you one thing. A.J. Brown may not play. Devontae Adams may not play. Now, I said last week to some people, Colin Cowherd, has Jalen Hurts described to a T. When he's got his weapons, he's a damn good quarterback. The words he said exactly, I'm not sure. But when he plays without his weapons, he's basically Justin Fields. He said Justin Fields. I would say something else. Somebody who's a worse quarterback, but Eagles, this is their last game before the bye. They got a bunch of people that are hurt. And even though Tampa Bay does have a Thursday night game coming up here, they play Atlanta on Thursday night. Maybe they're looking ahead. I don't know. But the Eagles are probably looking towards getting a week off. So, once again, here's another situation. Why spend $108 to win 100 on a 1.5-point line where the chances of hitting the point spread and losing a money line bet is pretty slim? Why do that when you can bet plus 110 and get more bang for your buck? So, my pick, and SJ, you can tell Smoke about this because Smoke is a Tampa Bay Buccaneers fan. You can tell her I picked it. I don't care. But I'm taking Tampa Bay on the money line at plus 110. So my 4 picks for this weekend: the Falcons -2.5 at -110. I got Tennessee on the money line at -102. The Lions on the Lions -3.5 at -110. And yes, I'm taking Tampa Bay on the money line plus 110. If you're daring enough to play that as a 14 parlay, I'm not. That's plus 14.15. So if you're interested, so those are my picks. And let me do this one thing here first, and that will conclude our show for tonight. Let me go here. So my picks are posted on SJ's Discord. I'm eventually going to have my own Discord. Don't worry, but I would still share them on hers any day as long as she doesn't tell me to stop. So anyway, so that is going to be it for this Thursday night show. And just a reminder, we'll be back on Monday, and starting next week, we are going 4 nights a week, Monday through Thursday. And also, we are also going to be live Saturday morning on the Bleacher Brothers channel, starting at 10 o'clock with another edition of Also Eligible, where I pretend to be a horse racing handicapper. Now, SJ says I'm pretty good. AJ says I'm an expert at it. You know, I'm always learning. I would never call myself an expert, but that's just me. So thank you for those that are watching on YouTube, on X. Thank you to Voltaire, SJ for coming in. Those are lurking around in the back. You know, like I always say, it's always good to have people watching and interacting. But hey, if you're like me when I was in school and I learned by passively taking in the information, that's fine too. But I do appreciate everybody for joining me here tonight. And yeah, nobody else is on. So, okay. So that's it for now. Don't have anybody to rate out here. So, do appreciate everybody for watching. Catch me on Also Eligible 10 o'clock on Saturday on the Bleacher Brothers Network. And catch me back here on Monday at 9 p.m. Eastern. So, we'll do it live and we'll keep doing it till I get a perfect show, which I will never do. But anyway, so thank you so much for joining me tonight. SJ, thank you for hopping in. Voltaire, everybody else, and we'll do it live on Monday night right here, twitch.tv/Joe Quills, YouTube, and X. And just a reminder, I am part of Bleacher Brothers. Check out Bleacher Brothers for all your sports needs. Have a great night, everybody. Catch you on Saturday, and if not Saturday, on Monday night. Good night, everybody.